credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call now at 800-533-6605 for a free consultation. For 17 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and a Christian-owned company. Don't get stuck in the endless cycle of payments. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Christian-owned Total Financial Freedom now at 800-533-6605. That's 800-533-6605. 800-533-6605.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Stocks wobbled lower as Wall Street questioned whether the U.S. job market has slowed by just enough to get the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates to help the economy, or by so much that a downturn may be on the way. After rising to an early gain, the S&P 500 erased it and fell 0.3% from the all-time high it set the day before. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 0.5%, and the Nasdaq Composite was nearly flat. Still, more stocks rose than fell. The action was more decisive in the bond market, where yields tumbled following the discouraging data on the job market. The Dow was down 220 points today to close at 45,400. The Nasdaq lost 7 to 21,700. The S&P dropped 20 to 6481. With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point weather on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Tonight we'll wrap the work week up with a nice evening. The low drops to 69. Tomorrow, look for a blend of sunshine and clouds to go with a warm high of 92, a 20% chance of an afternoon downpour. On Sunday, it's a bit cooler. The high is 87. We have a 30% chance of some storms. And it's cooler next week to start, with highs in the low 80s. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your Armed Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make the point.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
And happy Friday afternoon, evening to you. Welcome into Sports Talk. It's a Founders Federal Football Friday night here on the Sports Talk Media Network. We're so happy to be with you once again as we roll into what is week number 2 of the college football season around here. For some, it's sort of a drop-down weekend after the big games of last week. Not so big this week. You notice that we haven't talked a lot of X's and O's about Clemson and Troy, about South Carolina and South Carolina State, and about Coastal Carolina, Charleston Southern. Let's face it, those are expected to be gimme games for all three of the Division I teams. And if they are not gimme games and somebody's got real problems, Chris Bergen.
Yeah, without a doubt, because this is the weekend you're supposed to be healthy and you're supposed to be able to play everybody on your roster. The third teamers are thinking, all right, guys, get out there and do your stuff. Don't screw around. We want to play. And that's true at Clemson. That is true at South Carolina. And hopefully that'll be true at Coastal tomorrow. And what the Chanticleers have just announced is a sellout at Brooks Stadium against their former Big South Conference rivals. So it should be a lot of fun. Evidently, the free concessions starting to pay dividends.
Well, I got to tell you, again, all the worrying we've done about college football the last few years with the emergence of NIL and the transfer portal and players making a boatload of money and players changing schools every year, and we're thinking about it being the death of college football. It hasn't hurt college football one iota. No. I'm serious. I mean, South Carolina sold out. Clemson sold out. Coastal sold out. TV ratings, first weekend, skyrocketing. cannot see any ill effects from what's going on. I mean, people might bellyache about it, might not like it, but apparently it's not turning down the interest by people in watching and following and contributing to college football and college sports in general. So that's all good. That's all good. Not to take anything away from the three opponents. So, I guess Troy has the opportunity as far as the level of program that it is going to Clemson. I would say they have, of the three, they have the best shot. Then again, I got a feeling that Troy, because of what happened last week with Clemson, Troy's going to get Clemson's best shot. Clemson better treat Troy like it treated LSU in terms of its focus, playing its best football, not because they really have to. They could play not their best football and probably beat Troy, but I think Dabo Swinney and that staff want to see a more perfect Clemson football team Saturday than they saw last weekend.
You think they could play a 57, according to Dabo, and that would be good enough against Troy?
Well, you know Troy better than I do. You tell me.
I think it may be. I'm not sure this is the Troy program here the last couple of years that a lot of us grew up with. I remember watching Troy even when they were FCS football, and South Carolina played them a couple of times, and you kept thinking, why in the world are the Gamecocks scheduling a team like that? Because at that time, and fairly or unfairly, I think they were sort of known as, well, if you can't make it at Alabama or Auburn, you come here. And they had tremendous athletes on that team. They've got great facilities. It's a very solid FBS Sunbelt program. It's not on the level of Clemson, and I think what's going to happen is a similar thing that we saw last year. After the Tigers lost to Georgia, they were embarrassed. They went back to work, came out and just obliterated Appalachian State. I think Troy is probably, unfortunately for them, sitting in that. This is one you were hoping, if you're Troy and their staff, you were pulling like crazy for Clemson to beat LSU and play really, really well. So maybe they'd overlook you as their ACC opener is on the horizon. Unfortunately, that will not be the case. They'll get their full attention tomorrow, and it could get ugly at Death Valley.
Yeah, it very well could. It very well should. I'm taking Clemson to cover the 33.5 because I think they're going to be in a bad mood. I think they're going to be
I agree.
Wanting to go out and punish somebody over what happened. Somebody's got to pay, and I'm sure they paid for it in practice, but somebody else has got to pay for what happened to Clemson last weekend with that loss to LSU. Goose Crowder, 6'2", 215, redshirt junior. He's the quarterback. I mentioned him early in the week. He is a guy that was on the recruiting side of things coming out of Auburndale, Alabama, I think it was. Auburndale, Alabama. Gardendale. Make that Gardendale, Alabama. He's a guy we followed a little bit in recruiting. South Carolina had some interest in him. Made a visit to South Carolina. He was a very good passing quarterback in high school. He went to West Virginia, and he stayed there for a couple of years. He transferred to Troy. But Troy is a running football team, according to Dabo Swinney. They're going to line up and try and run the football.
Yep.
Their leading rusher is a guy named Tay Meadows. He's not a transfer. He signed with Troy out of high school. Last week against Nichols, he had 186 yards and a touchdown on 23 carries. Imagine that. One running back with 23 carries. Last week, Clemson's entire running back room had how many carries, including the quarterback? He had what? They had 20 rushes last week. This one guy ran the ball more than Clemson, the entire team, did last week against LSU. I bet you by halftime, Clemson will have at least, including quarterback runs and scrambles, let's say, though he better not have to scramble very much. If he has to scramble much against this team, then they got real concerns. But I'm going to bet you Clemson will run the ball at least 30 times in the first half.
I think that's entirely possible if they get the football that often. That's one thing I think Troy is hoping they'll be able to do, is run the football, possess the game, shorten it as best they can, and stay in it until the fourth quarter. The problem is you're going to try and run it against an extremely talented defensive front and an extremely talented defense all told, who felt like maybe even as good as they played last week, and it was certainly well enough for them to beat LSU. Probably feels like they left some plays out on the field as well. So as upset as you think the offense is probably going to be, and understandably so, I think Clemson's defense is going in with the mindset, let's see if we can't pitch a shutout tomorrow and play lights-out football to get ready for the ACC opener.
Yeah. All right. Also tomorrow, this might be, boy, I'd like to be at this game, Presbyterian at Furman Two teams coming off impressive wins. PC went on the road, beat Mercer last week. Furman at home beat William and Mary, up-and-coming PC. If PC goes in there and knocks off Furman tomorrow, look out. Wofford will be home to Richmond. They had that close loss at South Carolina State. Now they get Richmond at home. It will be Charleston Southern playing Coastal Carolina, as we mentioned. South Carolina State at South Carolina. Newberry opens its season at Virginia Wise. All right, that should be a game that the Wolves can win. They need a nice bounce-back season. A couple of losing seasons last couple of years. Citadel goes on the road to play at Sanford. Erskine will be at Anderson in their season opener. North Greenville opens its season at Delta State. Livingstone plays at Allen. Allen went up to Morehead State last week. Morehead State's a D1 FCS program, and Allen almost beat them. We talked about that. Their quarterback threw for 339 yards, I think it was. Look out for Allen. And then we mentioned, of course, Anderson, which won big last week at Shorter, will be at home to take on Erskine. So that's the schedule around the state. Now, coming up, we'll give you our picks for our 5 games that we've got to work with tonight. We'll have the football filibuster with the governor and the general coming up at about 6:50. David Shelton on high schools at 6:35. He's going to be at Somerville tonight.
Oh, boy.
So David's going to be able to answer for us the questions we had about the quarterback situation there at Somerville. Stay tuned for that. He'll be with us at 6:35. 7:05 Sterling picks. Lee Sterling, he's off to a stumbling start on the season. But he's just loosening up. He's going to pick it up here and get rolling before you know it, so you want to stay on top of that. 7:20 Jeff
last
Owens.
week in the Carolina and Clemson games.
Who did he pick?
Mm-hmm.
Who did he pick? Well, he only went 1-4. So I'd have to go back and ask him who he picked. I don't remember who he picked, but he only went 1-4 on his 5 picks. And we got Jeff Owens at 7:20 on NASCARs. They go racing up around St. Louis, race 2 of the playoffs. Then, of course, George Bryan III, Birdies, Bogies, and Biceps. Our special guest tonight, former Clemson golf coach Larry Penley, who was inducted in the Clemson Athletic Ring of Honor last Saturday. So he'll join us to talk about that great thrill, that great honor, and also about college golf around the state of South Carolina. Plus, we got some recruiting. We'll go over a list of names of players expected to visit South Carolina this weekend and some other notes. In fact, not too far down the road from me, we're here in Chicago again, not too far down the road from me here this afternoon, the Chicago White Sox won again. They beat Washington 11-5. So Chicago trying to stay in touch with Milwaukee in their division and certainly in a position to clinch a wild card berth for the playoffs. This place, this city, this part of Chicago will go crazy with the Cubs in the playoffs, especially with a team that's capable of winning another World Series.
Mm-hmm. I thought you said the White Sox won today, and I was thinking, boy, that's news.
Did I say that? I should have said the Cubs.
Okay.
Yeah, the Cubs. Cubs won 11-5. And what about I want to welcome the NFL back in all its glory with real football games, not preseason games, regular season games. You know, you got the entire world watching, the entire country tuned in. There were probably, I haven't seen the ratings, 15, 20 million people watching last night, maybe 10, 12 million. And what do you get? I mean, thank you, NFL football players, for being a great example for our young football players. You get 2 guys spitting. Maybe one wasn't exactly spitting at the other, but the other was definitely spitting at the other. Right there for all to see. Of course, Jalen Carter gets ejected. He's probably going to get suspended or fined. Mm-hmm. Does not look like Dax Prescott is going to face any kind of repercussions. But still, guys, come on. Let's try to set a little bit more of a higher standard for everybody else than just that. Or do we have no standards at any level of sports anymore? Is it do as I want and do as I feel and the results just be damned?
I think you were probably more accurate on the latter explanation than the former. And it's interesting, too, Phil, if you remember what the high school league sent out yesterday or the day before, one of the things they talked about in there was the increase in unsportsmanlike conduct penalties here in the state this year. They're seeing way too many in their mind. And if that's the case, it's understandable them being upset. But they made the point about not letting stuff that they see on television translate to Friday nights.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Here you go. This is what they were talking about. You've got two high-profile players, a quarterback on the most high-profile football team in the nation, and he evidently, according to Dak, he was not spitting at the Philadelphia Eagles. He said he spits all the time. Which, okay, fine, but that's not the way you want to start that game. And unfortunately, it sort of supersedes what was a terrific game to open up the year. Now, what I can't figure out is why the NFL has decided in its infinite wisdom, trying to expand globally, much like, every other sport, why in the world you would play a divisional game on opening night in Brazil. Could you imagine the SEC sending Alabama and Texas out of the country to go play?
Yes, I could. If a streaming network, if somebody with a camera wanted to pay the SEC millions of dollars to do it, they would send them to the moon.
I guess what Notre Dame and it's Florida State and Georgia Tech. The ACC's done that.
Yeah,
opened up the year last year in Ireland. So I guess
it's this year too.
Wild a thought.
They opened. Mm-hmm. We had teams playing in Ireland as well. These people in charge of these leagues, they'll do anything for money. They will literally go anywhere, play anytime for money. And yes, we do have a game tonight in Brazil. I remember 2 years ago, the Packers and the Eagles, I think it was, opened up in Brazil, and Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Was that 2 years ago or 3 years ago? I'm already seeing complaints coming from one of the teams tonight complaining about the turf that they're going to be playing on. The NFL doesn't care. Truly, the NFL does not care about the health of their players because they'll make them play on anything short of pure cement. Now, I'm not sure what the surface is going to be here in this facility where they're going to be playing, but they made them play for years on cement in New York and Philadelphia and other arenas. So no telling what they're going to be asked to play on down in Brazil.
But, Phil, you think back to what they do in with regards to the turf for the Super Bowl. I mean, they cultivate this stuff that they're going to. This year's Super Bowl turf has probably been growing for the last couple of years somewhere in Arizona, where it gets a lot of sun and then they can water it. I mean, they manicure this stuff, and then you're going to send them. And my bigger complaint, not that they're playing overseas, got an international game. My point was, you pointed out the Packers and Eagles. That at least is not a divisional game. As much emphasis as the NFL puts on divisional play, you can't have Kansas City and the Chargers playing an AFC West game to open up the year, 5,000 miles away from their home base? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Which team is losing the home game? Which team is losing the home game in the division? In this case, I don't know.
Chiefs. I bet it's not the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, and one thing about the Super Bowl, about the grass, what you don't know is I just learned this, is that grass is so green and so beautiful and so lush because they get it from Taylor Swift's backyard. They just go into her backyard, they dig it up, and they pull it in because her backyard, of course, is pristine and it's the most beautiful grass, no question, it's the most beautiful grass in the world. Okay, we're going to run to the break on Sports Talk and come back with more, give you our picks from our Sports Talk Pick'em Challenge panel, tell you who's doing what, where things stand after week one. Got some text messages to get to, got recruiting to get to, and a bevy of guests to come your way on this Founders Federal Football Friday night. And we're not done at 8 o'clock. Don't forget, we're back. We're back at 10:05 with the Founders Federal High School Football Scoreboard. Back in a moment. We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources, and we're visiting at the brand new DNR offices at the State Farmers Market. Major, tell us more about this place.
That's right, Phil. The Department of Natural Resources has a new office located at the South Carolina Farmers Market. You can find us at 260D Epting Lane inside the Farmers Market grounds. Look for the DNR logo when you turn off of Highway 221 in West Columbia, or you can always go to the App Store on your Apple or Android device and look for Go Outdoors SC. Download the app and you can buy all of your license needs right there.
Visit GoOutdoorsSouthCarolina.com today.
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love, and you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
Life insurance isn't for you. It's for those you love the most. For a complete insurance review, call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, serving Lawrence, Clinton, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
You work hard for your money. Shouldn't your money work hard for you too? Think about all the hours you've put in, the late nights, the early mornings, the dedication to your craft. Now imagine those dollars doing some of the heavy lifting for a change, growing quietly in the background while you focus on what matters most. Whether you're saving for a dream vacation, a new home, or just building a cushion for peace of mind, putting your money to work is one of the smartest moves you can make. Open a certificate at Founders Federal Credit Union and earn more with your savings. For a limited time only, Founders is offering 18-month certificates at 4.32% annual percentage yield and 18-month IRA certificates at 4.58% annual percentage yield. To get started, visit foundersfcu.com/dividend rates or one of our many convenient office locations. All you need is $500 to get started, but don't delay. These rates won't last. Open your certificate today. Your future self will thank you for opening a certificate at Founders. Federally insured by the NCUA. Membership qualification required. $500 minimum balance. 18-month term. Dividends compound quarterly. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Straight Up Sports is simply all sports, all the time. Straight Up Sports is a collection of retired and award-winning sports writers and sports broadcasters from around South Carolina. Like Bob Gillespie from the State Newspaper, Scott Kiefer from the Greenville News, and Mark Sturgis from ESPN Upstate. Straight Up Sports is about the stories, just like the days gone by with no editors nor managers involved. Check us out on Facebook or Twitter or online at straightupsports.net.
Now, Sports Talk Picks, brought to you by Experience Columbia SC, right here on the Sports Talk Media Network.
One more thing about the spitting incident. I mean, it looked to me, I don't know who Prescott was spitting at, but he walked up to the line of scrimmage. It wasn't like he was back at the nearest his huddle. You know, he walked up toward the line of scrimmage. They were already mouthing off, and then he spat right up there near the line of scrimmage. Maybe that's where he ordinarily spits. But I think Jalen Carter took that as him spitting at him, and thus he spat back.
I'm sure he did.
It was a spit spat. So, I mean, I think they're both kind of at fault here. I don't know that Prescott's completely innocent in this deal, from what I saw.
There's one difference, though, Phil. He's a quarterback in the NFL. You got to really have something egregious against you for the NFL to sit you down. Especially he happens to be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, too.
Yeah. It was a good ball game other than that.
It really was.
Eagles showed their strength once again. They can come up with the big play, and Jalen Hurts is as good as there is right now at quarterback. I mean, you can say Mahomes, yeah, and you can say Lamar Jackson, and boy, Hurts is with the people around him too. I mean, he just got people around him. Okay,
I like it from a fantasy perspective. All the points the Eagles scored last night, I had those guys.
Oh, did you really?
Hurts, Barkley, and their field goal kicker, Jake Elliott.
So how many points did you end up with? I think it was about
48, I believe.
That's nice. That's a
in
nice
a
night for you.
9-point per reception league. Yeah.
Well, let's see how you're doing right now. Let's see how you're doing in
on the other side. Not so
the
well.
Sports Talk Pick'em Challenge. After 1 week, we have a 3-way tie. The Corn, the Kev, and the Ted. We're all 4-1. Fran Halloran, Alan Smothers, 3-2. Rick Sanford, Pat Daniel, 2-3. The 1-4s after week 1. It's lengthy. The Plumber, there's Don Williams, there's Jim Corbett, there's Bobby Harton, there's Smitty, and there's Bergie. I had to put you last. I mean, I appreciate that. You're living in the basement right now.
I noticed that you put me at the bottom, even though I'm tied for, what is that, fourth? Which game did you miss last week?
It was just the order that I put them in. I missed on North Carolina. No, that was a different competition. I missed on Ohio State and Texas.
Okay.
Yeah. I took. I believed in Arch.
I did.
I made the mistake.
Yeah.
I made the mistake. I believed in Arch. Let me down. All right, this week, we did put Troy Clemson in there. Clemson laying 33.5, and I am going with Clemson laying the points. Taking Virginia. I like the quarterback at NC State. And you saw him. I like the quarterback. Oklahoma, I'm going to take Oklahoma at home. I think they might. I know Michigan's got the highly touted 5-star whatever, 5-star plus, 6+, 7+ star. But this is first road game, and it's in the SEC. Oklahoma's got a good quarterback. They got a hankering going on, too. I'm taking Oklahoma. Oklahoma's favored by 5.5 in this thing, too. So Oklahoma laying 5.5. That might be a bit much, but I'm taking them anyway. I'm taking Ole Miss laying the 10 at Kentucky. Don't believe in Kentucky at all. And I'm taking Virginia Tech based on eyewitness, first-hand observation. I'm taking them at home laying 1.5 against Vanderbilt. That's what I like there. What you got, Bergie?
I've got the same as you. I've got Clemson. I think they cover. I think they bounce back in a big way. I like Virginia, not just from standpoint of Chandler Morris, Chad Morris's son, but keep in mind the name Cam Ross. He's a terrific wide receiver, transfer into Virginia. He's a guy who returned to kickoff for a touchdown against Coastal last week. He was a all Sun Belt kick return specialist on and so he's a guy to watch out for. I like Oklahoma. I'm like you at home to go along with Ole Miss, and I'm going to take Vandy to pull off and back up Diego Pavia's mouth to go into Virginia Tech and get a win.
All right. Let's see. The Plumber's taking Clemson, Virginia, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt. Plus, after Florida beat Long Island last weekend, he's picking the Gators to beat the Hamptons.
By 9,000.
Be back.
On Point weather on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Tonight we'll wrap the work week up with a nice evening. The low drops to 69. Tomorrow, look for a blend of sunshine and clouds to go the warm high of 92, a 20% chance of an afternoon downpour. On Sunday, it's a bit cooler. The high is 87. We have a 30% chance of some storms. And it's cooler next week to start, with highs in the low 80s. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
What's better than getting the best Wagyu and Hereford beef anywhere in these parts and getting it delivered to your door? How about knowing you're still supporting local farmers in Saluda over at H&J Cattle, where tradition meets quality? Visit HandJCattle.com. Place your order for $50 or more, get free delivery in Richland or Lexington County. Plus, Point listeners get 10% off your order. Enter keyword The Point as one word for your discount. HandJCattle.com.
The Point.
Logical. With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump has signed an executive order to rebrand the Department of Defense as the Department of War. He criticized the previous name as woke and said the new name is more appropriate. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, now referred to as the Secretary of War, emphasized the shift to maximum lethality. A congressional investigation finds the Pentagon has funded research involving collaboration with Chinese entities linked to China's defense sector. Many of these entities are blacklisted by the U.S. government. The report by House Republicans on the Select Committee on China warns that U.S. technological know-how is being diverted to modernize China's military. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 220 points, the Nasdaq dropped 7. More details at srnnews.com.
I don't know too many folks out there who love paying taxes, but what about getting tax credits? That's appealing, right? My buddy Ken at Broker Solar is in the tax credit business. How would you like a solar battery that helps do two things? First, it serves as an instant generator the moment the power cuts out, and it doesn't even require gasoline. Secondly, it lets you take some control back from the power companies. Yeah, you can use solar power during the peak hours when your power company wants to charge you the most. Oh, and that tax credit on solar batteries, you can get a 30% tax credit right now. This is a phenomenal time to reach out to Ken. He'll come out to your home or your business. He'll give you a comprehensive free estimate, answer any questions. Solar isn't free, but you need to take advantage of those credits when they do come around. Call Ken right now. Save on a solar-powered battery. Online, find him at brokersolar.com or just call Ken, 807-7417. That's 807-7417, Broker Solar.
Get ready, anglers and hunters. September 19th through the 21st, join us for the last cast tent sale at Palmetto State Armory. Land up to 75% off from top brands like Berkeley, Abu Garcia, and Plano. From rods and reels, gun cases to backpacks, we've got everything you need to take on your next adventure. Join us all weekend long for hot deals, pro fishing tips, food trucks, and more. See you September 19th through the 21st at Palmetto State Armory, 3760 Fernandina Road, Columbia.
Escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life with Spa MD, your sanctuary of rejuvenation. Feel the tension melt away as our expert team guides you through your customized wellness journey. From soothing massages to revitalizing treatments, we promise a remarkable experience that leaves you feeling renewed and empowered. Discover the calm within every visit. Reach out at 251-9400 or online at visitspamd.com to explore your options. Your oasis of tranquility awaits.
You work hard for your money. Shouldn't your money work hard for you too? Think about all the hours you've put in, the late nights, the early mornings, the dedication to your craft. Now imagine those dollars doing some of the heavy lifting for a change, growing quietly in the background while you focus on what matters most. Whether you're saving for a dream vacation, a new home, or just building a cushion for peace of mind, putting your money to work is one of the smartest moves you can make. Open a certificate at Founders Federal Credit Union and earn more with your savings. For a limited time only, Founders is offering 18-month certificates at 4.32% annual percentage yield and 18-month IRA certificates at 4.58% annual percentage yield. To get started, visit foundersfcu.com/dividend rates or one of our many convenient office locations. All you need is $500 to get started, but don't delay. These rates won't last. Open your certificate today. Your future self will thank you for opening a certificate at Founders. Federally insured by the NCUA. Membership qualification required. $500 minimum balance. 18-month term. Dividends compound quarterly. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Turning face to stars and stripes. It's fighting back them butterflies. It's calling in the air. Sir, we want the ball. And it's knocking heads and talking trash. It's slinging mud and dirt and grass. It's I got your number, I got your back. When your back's against the wall, you mess with one man, you got us all. The boys are fall.
All right, time to talk some high school football here on Sports Talk. It's a Founders Federal Football Friday night. High school scoreboard tonight across the state at 10:05. We are the place to come to get all the scores, the reports, and time permitting, we talk to some coaches, but mostly we get reporters on from games all across the states. We got some good ones tonight. David Shelton's going to be at a good one as well as he joins us from the Low Country, the co-host of the High School Football Scoreboard, also, of course, writing for the Post and Courier and the High School Sports Reports. David, welcome in. How are you tonight?
Doing good. How are you?
We're doing fine. You sound great. I know you're pumped up. You got a good ball game tonight down your way. Now, we had callers on this question earlier in the week, and I said first thing I'll ask David is about it when he joins us on Friday night. What's going on with the Summerville quarterback situation?
Well, I mean, it's a quarterback situation. It's like every 90% of college and NFL and high schools have. They got two capable quarterbacks. When one doesn't play well, you play the other one and hope that he plays well. If they both don't play well, then you got a problem. But you know the old adage, I don't know if it was Lou Holtz or who, but it says if you got two quarterbacks, you don't have one.
Yeah.
But they got two good guys. The other guy wasn't moving the team like they thought he should, and they put the other guy in the fourth quarter. But I mean, it's no big deal to me. You got two guys that are probably capable of winning games there. I mean, they got so much talent. You don't need to be Willie Joe at quarterback to win games at Somerville. You just need to distribute the ball and take care of the clock and that kind of thing. So I'll be interested to see how it plays out tonight, who starts, and if that one struggles, will the other one come in. But that's where you play these early games. You try to find out, which one's better at right tackle, which one is better at safety. And quarterback's the same thing.
We had multiple callers and even some text messages that during the game last Friday night, there were fans chanting for the quarterback who's been in the program, not the transfer quarterback, and even members of the team on the sideline chanting that they wanted him in the game at quarterback. Did you hear anything about that?
I talked to someone today, as a matter of fact, who was on the sideline, and he said it didn't happen. He said there were some fans, a group of fans up there, put the other guy in, this blah, 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 whatever the fans say. But I specifically asked were there players, and he said no.
Yeah.
He said, and if there were, they're probably no longer a part of the program. But I mean, this guy was emphatic. He said I was standing right by him, and I never heard a word. I could hear the fans chanting, and it wasn't a lot of fans. It was a handful. But you know how it is. I mean, if Lenore Sellers throws two picks, people are going to be hollering for whoever their backup quarterback is to play. So I mean, it's just one of those things. If indeed there were players doing it, and I don't know, I wasn't there. I just asked someone who was there. If that did happen, I would imagine if the coaches knew about it, those guys may no longer be in the program. That's how I would handle it.
Tell us about the transfer quarterback who I think is from Charleston, and he went down to IMG, transferred back. His last name's Stafford. So, which is the better quarter? You have an opinion on which is the better quarterback?
Well, I can only go by the two times I saw each guy. I saw Kafina in the state championship game against Dutch Fork when the starting quarterback blew his knee out, and I thought Kafina, he threw for 174 yards, did a nice job. I mean, it was Dutch Fork. They weren't going to beat Dutch Fork. And then I saw the opener where Stafford was the starting quarterback, and he had a great game, 11 out of 14, 247 yards, 3 touchdowns. But apparently the other night he was not that sharp. So, he's a good player. I mean, he went to IMG, you pay $30,000, they'll put you on one of the 5 teams. So I'm sure he learned a lot at IMG from their excellent coaches and such. But that does not guarantee that you can come back to Somerville and be the starting quarterback. Now, I'll be interested tonight. If they win, who was the quarterback? I mean, Ian Rafferty, the head coach, he may know there's a little controversy, but he's not saying it. He's like, we're going to play the guy that helps us win. And tonight is a big game. If Somerville falls to 1-2, regardless of the tough teams they played, it will not be a happy town, especially losing to Berkeley.
Oh, yeah. No question about it. Upstate, got a couple of good ones to look at. Newberry and Clinton. How good is this Newberry team? I hear they're undefeated, of course, but I hear they're really, really good.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about them being a real sleeper in the upper state, or I guess they're in the lower state. But they got good players. The tight end committed to South Carolina, but they got other good players. They have been building this team for a couple of years, so it's time to make their run. And this will be a good game. This will be a good test for both teams, because Newberry's certainly capable of beating Clinton. And if they beat Clinton, I think you're going to see them just roll through the regular season. This is I know it's game 3 or week 2, game 3, whatever. The Newberry people know this is an important game.
It's confusing. How about we got the battle of the Electric City? We got TL Hanna Westside tonight.
Now, these are two teams that are traditionally powers. We're not sure what each is just yet. They'll both be in the playoffs at the end of the year. They'll have their share of wins. So this is a pretty even game. I don't. If you take what Westside did against that team in Alabama, I mean that wasn't very good. But you take what Hanna did against Burns, and that wasn't very good. So that makes for a better game, to be honest with you, when both teams are going to be fighting their tails off to try to get a win over their rival.
David Shelton from the Charleston Post and Courier, the High School Sports Report, and, of course, the High School Scoreboard Show coming up later on tonight with us here tonight on Sports Talk. And, David, did I read this correctly? Abbeville actually lost a game last week to Powdersville. That rarely happens, not just Powdersville, but ever for Abbeville to lose a game. So what is Batesburg-Leesville in for tonight when they get a hold of Abbeville?
Yeah, and it snowed Saturday, too. But, Abbeville is rebuilding. I mean, I call it reloading, but they lost 27 seniors. And for a Class A school to even have 27 seniors in the entire senior class is pretty amazing. So they kind of got a lot of new guys. Powdersville's a good team. I talked to Jamie before they played Powdersville, and he's like, man, they're gonna be tough. He says that about everybody, but you could tell that, he was not overly, oh my God, if we lose the game, what's going to happen? I mean, sometimes losses are good. 2 years ago, they lost to Powdersville and rolled through the rest of the season. So, teams rebuilding, they lose. You're talking a 1A team against a 3A team. Numbers are different, and but I don't suspect Abbeville will lose very many more games.
We may have here in the PD the game of the night over here in Florence as South takes on Northwestern. Is that possibly the best game of the night? And if so, where do you see this going?
Yeah, it very well could be. You're talking about the number 1 team in 4A and the number 2, I think, in 5A. They played a couple years ago in the state championship game. South Florence kind of ran the score up a little bit. And I think Northwestern, what I like about what Northwestern's doing is they're not backing off anything. They're scheduling. They lost some good players, but they have their schedule and they're going to play it, and they're pretty good. I think both these teams are capable of winning state titles. So it'll be a great early season test. South Florence had that early season test last week, but this will be a very competitive game, and I suspect there'll be some points. I think.
Agreed.
David, enjoy your game tonight. Somerville-Berkeley, that used to be must-see TV in South Carolina. It's still a heated rivalry game. Somerville's still Somerville, and Berkeley's trying to get back. So enjoy that. Look forward to having you with us tonight, and appreciate the comments.
Thanks, David.
Okay, man. Y'all take care.
David Shelton, best in the business from the low country, but he's all ours tonight. When he joins us, he usually joins us about 10:30 or so. So when he joins us, he'll be able to share insight on that Somerville game as well as the rest of the games around the state of South Carolina. Off to the break we go.
excuse me, just real quickly, I wanted to comment on what David said. I feel better about the Somerville kids that the players weren't actually chanting for the backup to get in the game.
Yeah. Apparently, some of our callers and writers kind of had their facts wrong, I guess, from what David has heard from somebody who was there on the sideline. Okay, to the break, and on the other side, we'll continue to pick the brains of two football geniuses. And probably better at football than they are at politics. That's why we have them here on the program. It's the football filibuster. Coming up next, we do have a leader after the first weekend of games, so we'll update that after the break.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosteller Brown. Did you know your will is designed for your assets to pass through the probate court? If you want to keep your loved ones out of court, a revocable trust is a great place to start. Visit LawyerLisa.com for more information and to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at sccattle.org. Beef. It's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff Program.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Okay, it is time here on Sports Talk for another edition of the Football Filibuster, starring two of the great political leaders of our time in South Carolina. We can't thank them enough for all the things they have done for the state of South Carolina. Just look at us. And we thank them from the bottom of our hearts. Former Governor Jim Hodges, welcome in, sir.
Hello, Phil. How are you?
We're doing great. And current Attorney General Alan Wilson. General, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Hope you are.
We're doing wonderful. It's great to have you with us. I should mention, not only are these two great political minds, of course, they are two of the best football minds not walking a sideline in South Carolina. Last week, the General sprinted to a 2-3 week. So 2-3, he leads. The Governor out of the blocks, a little bit slow, but he likes to think of himself as Secretariat. 1-4. 1-4 last week, Governor. What the heck happened to you?
Preseason, man. That's all that was, preseason.
All right. So you're feeling good going into week number 2. The kinks are out.
I'm looking at history. Yeah, I'm looking at history. I'm going to do fine.
All right. Where are you this weekend? Are you going to be at the football game?
I am right now at All Souls Pizza in Asheville, which is a great spot if anybody's coming to Asheville. So we're up in the mountains enjoying the probably last opportunity I'll have to be here for a few weeks because I'll be back home for the games after that.
All right. General, how about you? Where are you spending the weekend?
I'm going to be with my family tomorrow at the game. So we're going to enjoy a homecoming game. Well, not a homecoming, but a home game, rather, with SC State in town. So I'm looking forward to it.
Do you go out and tailgate and shake hands and kiss babies and things like that?
Yeah, we go around and talk to folks. I probably don't know that I'll tailgate. We'll probably get in there about 2 hours before the game and walk around and see our friends. We really enjoy. This is a great family activity for us.
Understood. Well, let's get at it. Governor, since you were in last place here, we'll let you lead off, and we'll start with Vanderbilt at Virginia Tech. Hokies at home, favored by 1.5.
You know, I'm going to take the Hokies. I mean, this is basically a pick 'em. I thought they looked pretty good last week, and I tend to think we probably are overestimating Vanderbilt. So I'll take the Hokies.
I kind of have that same feeling. General?
I'm with the Governor.
You want Virginia Tech?
Yes, sir.
You got them. To the SEC, how about some SEC flavor? We've got Ole Miss at Kentucky. Boy, this Kentucky team just a couple of years ago looked like they were going to become a dominant team in the league, but they have fallen off. They're getting 10 at home here. General?
I think Ole Miss is going to win, but I think this is counterintuitive because they have fallen off, but I think Kentucky's going to be scrappy, and if they lose, they'll lose within that margin. So give me Kentucky for the points.
Kentucky with the 10, taking the 10. Governor, you think what?
You know, I was going to take Kentucky, but I'll take the other side of that. I think what happened to Ole Miss last year with Kentucky knocking them out of the playoffs, I think I'm going to take Ole Miss.
Good memory there, Gov. All right. Obviously, you're just drinking coffee up there in Asheville, and you haven't, touched anything else while you've been up there because you're
absolutely not.
You're sounding very sharp. Let's go to Michigan. Michigan at Oklahoma, game of the day in college football. You got Michigan on the road, and they're getting 5.5. And this would be Governor, lead us.
You know, I'm not going to give Oklahoma that much love. I think this is a pretty competitive game, and that's too many points. So I'll take Michigan.
Michigan, the points. What you got, General?
Same analysis. I know Oklahoma's got the home court there, but I'm going to go with Michigan keeping it tight. So give me Michigan.
All right, you got them. To the ACC, but Bergie, am I correct? I think you said this last night. This is not an ACC counting game, right? This game
that is correct.
Does not
it's
count
a non-conference conference game.
Yeah, okay. It's Virginia at NC State. General, forget about it counting in the conference, but it is two ACC teams playing in Raleigh. Virginia at NC State.
God, this is a pick-em game. I'm going to go with the home team. So give me NC State.
Now, State's laying 2.5 here, I should have mentioned, but you knew that. Governor, State's laying 2.5.
You know, I think I'm going to take NC State, too. I might change that, but I'll take NC State for now.
All right, you got NC State. Takes us to Troy at Clemson. We all know what happened with the Tigers last week. They should be in an ornery mood for Troy coming to town. They're laying 33.5, Governor.
I'm going to take Clemson. I think you're right. Clemson's in a mood of winning big this week. So, I think Clemson's going to win this one by 35 or more. So I'll take Clemson.
General, your thoughts?
That's a lot of points, and I know Clemson's going to dominate them. And if Clemson hadn't lost last week, I would probably go with Troy just to keep it within 30. But I think Clemson needs a palate cleanser, and I think Troy's going to be a chew toy for them. They want to get that bad taste out of their mouth from last week. I was at that game, so I think they're going to come out and try to just clean the palate and run up the points. So give me Clemson.
Heck of a metaphor there, cleansing the palate by. You were at Clemson last week, huh?
I was.
You're just a man for all the people. You're a man for all the people.
I'm bipartisan.
Okay. I heard that. Okay, so you guys only differ right now on one, Ole Miss, Kentucky. We go to the amendments. And Governor, since you're trailing, we'll let you amend first. Anything you'd like to change of the games you agree on?
I don't really have any strong. The only one I would think about would be the Virginia NC State game, but I don't have strong enough feelings about that. I think I'll wait to get a few more weeks in before I do that. So I'm going to stick.
Okay, General, you?
We're still early in the season, and I don't feel that much aggression right now. So I'm with the governor. I'm gonna hold my amendments for now. Although I do remember last year, Governor, didn't you lay a goose egg the first week? Weren't you 0-5?
Ooh.
You may be right. I certainly didn't do well early on, but
I just remember
I'm a closer.
That's what I'm saying. You lull me into a false sense of security because I want to remember last year I ran up the score like 4 games on you, and then you came back in 2 or 3 weeks and took me out. So this year you're doing better than last year. If you're 1-4 when you started 0-5, so yeah, it's going to be scary. You are a closer, but I'm going to go ahead and hold my amendments. Right now we're a 1-game difference, and I'm going to be conservative this week.
Hey, don't be sucking up to him just because he's won 23 out of 25 Corn Cups, okay? Call it like it is.
I'm trying to get his vote. I'm trying to earn the governor's vote.
Oh, good luck with that.
I don't vote in the primary.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, gentlemen, y'all have a great weekend. You up in Asheville and you over at Williams-Brice. We thank you as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir.
See you next
Good
week.
luck.
Thank you guys tremendously. Bye-bye. There you go, the football filibuster for tonight. And we'll see how this turns out for these two experts. Speaking of experts, Sterling picks coming up after the break.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Once again, the prospect of a federal government shutdown looms on the 30th of this month. But one political observer says Republicans probably can't count on Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer's help this time around. On the Salem News program this week on Capitol Hill with Tony Perkins, Elizabeth Mitchell, White House correspondent for the Daily Signal, says Schumer got burned for standing up to his own party earlier this year.
In this very polarized political climate, the fact that Schumer worked with Republicans in the past really gave him negative political points with his party, because the Democrats right now, their main mission, what they're all aligned around, their focus is opposing Trump. So I think he's going to be very careful to avoid that, again, because of all these radicals in his party saying he shouldn't have done that. This really could lead to a shutdown. Republicans really don't want to shut down as the party in power.
The full interview with Elizabeth Mitchell will be heard on This Week on Capitol Hill starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Time Saturday on the Salem News Channel. The Trump administration is pushing the Supreme Court for a fast and definitive decision on tariffs.
In Supreme Court filings this week, the administration used stark language as it asked justices to intervene and reverse an appeals court ruling that found most of the president's import taxes are an illegal use of an emergency powers law. It warned the high court that if the president loses tariff authority, it would thrust America to the brink of economic catastrophe. Greg Clugston, Washington.
President Trump has signed an executive order to rebrand the Department of Defense as the Department of War. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 220 points, the Nasdaq dropped 7. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, or simply visit godra.com.
A woman forever linked to a dark day in American history has died.
Her name was Ruth Payne, a kind young woman who briefly allowed Lee Harvey Oswald and his family to stay in her home in the Dallas suburb of Irving in late 1963. On the morning of November 22nd, totally unbeknownst to Payne, Oswald retrieved the rifle and ammo he'd been hiding in her garage, and you know what happened a few hours later in downtown Dallas. Meanwhile, Ruth Payne died this week in a senior living facility in Santa Rosa, California. She was 92. Jason Walker reporting.
Carlos Alcaraz has beaten Novak Djokovic in 3 sets at the U.S. Open to reach a 3rd Grand Slam final in a row. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
On-point weather on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Tonight we'll wrap the work week up with a nice evening. The low drops to 69. Tomorrow, look for a blend of sunshine and clouds to go the warm high of 92, a 20% chance of an afternoon downpour. On Sunday, it's a bit cooler. The high is 87. We have a 30% chance of some storms. And it's cooler next week to start, with highs in the low 80s. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your Armed Boy Local Weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make the point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk Media Network. Here on a big Friday night, Founders Federal Football Friday night across the state of South Carolina here on the Sports Talk Media Network. And don't forget the high school scoreboard coming your way tonight at 10:05. Looking forward to bringing that to you once again live from here in Chicago. We wrap up a stay of a couple of nights here in the Windy City, where today I don't think it got much over 60. It might have been in the 50s. It was chilly out there today in downtown Chicago.
Just have to rub it in, don't you?
I know. How hot was it in South Carolina?
92 degrees thereabouts here, and it's supposed to be hotter tomorrow. Yay.
Well, enjoy it as best you can at the football stadiums. Make sure you hydrate yourself and and take those precautions.
Not a single cloud in the sky was cut today. Not here in Columbia, at least.
Yeah, same here. I mean, no clouds in the sky, just chilly and windy. It was gusting off the lake about 20, 25 miles an hour. So we had a very nice, pleasant afternoon from that standpoint. Okay, let's get to the professional viewpoint on some games this weekend. We've heard from the amateurs. Now it's time to hear from one of the pros. We welcome in with another edition of Sterling Picks here on Sports Talk from ParamountSports.com. He is Lee Sterling. And good evening, Lee. How are you?
I was good until last night when I had the over, and figuring after 41 points scored in the first half, I was going to have an early evening, be able to put that one to bed, but never happened. So a little frustrating there, but that can happen from time to time when you gamble.
Did you have the over on who had the longest spit, or was it on something else?
No, that was crazy. I mean, to have a game started that way, I mean, you can't lose it like that. I think he's going to be suspended one or two games. Do you agree?
I do.
Yeah.
I think they're going to come down. I'm not so sure they shouldn't come down on Prescott because I thought he walked up near the line of scrimmage and he spat, and I could see he was.
Yep.
I could see where Carter could, misconstrue that as coming his way, but they shouldn't be doing that to begin with. I mean, these guys need to grow up and realize that, you're setting an example for everybody else who plays the game. Whether you like it or not, people are watching, and you got to cut that crap out, I think. But anyway, that's my old-fashioned view on that. Let's tell folks where to go this weekend to get all your good stuff.
Well, just go to the website, ParamountSports.com. A lot going on. We have a UFC card from Paris. So if you like the UFC, you can get involved there. 5 selections for $35. That starts at 12 noon tomorrow. And one of those is a huge underdog plus at least a minimum 150. We've hit at least one 150 or greater underdog in each of the last 5 cards. So one of them was a plus 500. So we're rolling along there. We've won 11 of the last 14 cards, 5 selections, $35. And for first 40 to 50 unit max wager in football, we're a career 71 and 28 on those selections. So you want to get involved, check out all the specials, ParamountSports.com.
Okay, let's jump at it. 1-4 week for you last week. So like so many teams that lost last week, you're looking for a bounce-back week this week. I feel like you're a dude, as Dabo Sweeney said about Kate Klubnik. He's a dude, and I expect the dudes to play like dudes. I expect you to pick like a dude. Let's go to Illinois, laying 3 in Durham against Duke.
So Duke, they got one of the top 5 transfer quarterbacks, and they got a kid that's really good, Darian Mensah. He threw for 389 yards last week in their 45-17 win over Elon. Duke is a solid team. They're just not top-tier ACC. Illinois might be one of the most underappreciated teams in the country in a power conference. They closed the season with 4 straight wins, including that win over South Carolina in the bowl game. They returned 19 of 22 starters here. Even though they played Western Illinois, they showed the type of superiority you like to see even against lower-class opponents. They ran for almost 6 yards a carry. They stopped the run. They allowed just 1 yard per carry. I just think Duke is too one-dimensional, and I think Illinois is going to control both sides of the line of scrimmage on the line. I like Illinois 27-17.
All right, let's go to Oklahoma, Michigan. You got one side with a highly talented brand-new quarterback on the road for the first time in his young career in Oklahoma. Has the transfer quarterback who's quite the passer, and the Sooners are favored by 5.
So I believe that this quarterback that Oklahoma got, another transfer quarterback, John Mateer, is incredible. He can run and throw the football. It has a desire. He can bring his team back even when they're down. Just go watch the Washington football game from last year where he just, on his back, took his team and willed them to win. So impressed with him. Think he's going to take Oklahoma back to close to where they were before. they're a team that can't run a whole lot. Whereas Michigan, they bring over Justice Haynes, who was the best running back for Alabama last year. He had 159 rushing yards in that first game and 3 touchdowns. And you want to watch a quarterback do it the right way, not try and sidearm passes and just really good fundamentals, who's talented. Watch Bryce Underwood, the true freshman quarterback from Michigan. In my opinion, he's as good as advertised. They did not run him, though, the first week. I think they were keeping a lot of things under wrap. So I think they're going to unleash him here. And if you like to play college props, player props, take Underwood, the over rushing attempts and over rushing yards. I think he'll have at least 6-7 rushes here, and he'll rush for at least 40, 50 yards and be the difference in the game. OU won last week, 35-3 over Illinois State, but only 103 rushing yards on 32 carries. I think Michigan's offensive and defensive lines, which dominated the line of scrimmage against even Ohio State late last year and won that game in Columbus, I think are the difference here. Wrong team favored. Michigan 24-21 over Oklahoma.
To the SEC, Ole Miss favored by 10 over Kentucky in Lexington.
So a friend of mine runs a pick service, and people pick against the spread, and he said he's never seen anything like this. Of the 135 people that picked the spread in the Ole Miss-Kentucky game, 129 people had Ole Miss.
Ooh.
So why? They can boat race a team when they are playing up to their potential. Did it last year at Arkansas. First drive of the game last year against Kentucky looked like that was going to be a blowout. Went right down the field and scored, and then the game stopped. And what did Kentucky do? Slowed the pace down, ran the football, played solid defense, and pulled off, I thought, one of the most stunning upsets as a 15.5-point underdog knocked off Ole Miss. So everyone is looking at the revenge factor here. But let's look at a couple things that might make you feel differently. Now, I'm probably going to play this game, not giving it out to my clients, as a in-game wager. So each of the last 4 games have been decided by 3-3, 1 in overtime, and 3 points. Austin Simmons is very talented, but his 2 interceptions and a couple more passes, he is prone to throw interceptions because he does not read coverages well enough yet. He determines where he's going to throw the ball first and can't see the second receiver. So that's something to watch if they have trouble. I'm going to watch that the first 2 series of this game. And Ole Miss, they held Georgia State to 7 points, but they did allow 5.5 yards per carry to a really bad Georgia State team. So I think they're more talented, Ole Miss, but Kentucky, this is where Mark Stoops does his best work. 7-3 against the spread the last 6 years as a home dog. I'm going to go against the norm. Got to pick a side here in the big game. Ole Miss escapes 28-24 over Kentucky, but if you like to live bet, this is a great game. Watch the first couple series.
Great points. Let's go to the Clemson-Troy game. Clemson laying 33 by you here, coming off that loss to LSU.
Yeah, when they went up by a touchdown, thought they might be able to pull it off, but they did not play well offensively. They couldn't run, and we thought that might happen with an inexperienced backfield. Their sophomore wideouts weren't ready to step quite up when Antonio Williams left early due to that hamstring issue. Troy, however, allowed 20 points last week to Nicholls State. So watch their game, and except for the running back, Tay Meadows, who came out of nowhere. No one expected this kid to start. He was listed as like 4th, 5th on the depth chart going to spring football. Not much to like there. I just don't think they can stretch the field vertically. Offensive line may not hold up, and they don't have the depth on defense. They had a lot of real good players graduate here. So I like Clemson. I think they're going to come out and put a big number on Troy. I think they win this game here 48-6.
Riding that train with you, brother. Game of the week in the NFL, Jags and Panthers.
Yep. I have a real strong feeling on this game. Jags laying 3.5 at home against the Panthers. You want to get it for free, call 800-400-9741. Give you the game for free. Also, you know what? I like the Chiefs and Chargers game tonight, too. Give you both games. just call 800-400-9741. First 10 callers get it for free. And like I said, you want to hop on board for the UFC card. Starts at 12 noon tomorrow, or get our first 40 to 50 unit max wager in football. Everything's up and available. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
You're the best, my friend. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Phil. Be good. Be safe.
Thank you. Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com. Check it out if you want to participate and have some fun and have some reason to watch the games with a little more intent. ParamountSports.com. We appreciate Lee, his Sterling picks. Now, let's get to the recruiting report tonight here on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawells. Seawells, daily lunch and buffet next week. Check it out every day, Tuesday through Friday from 11 till 2. And for the very best in the catering business, when you have that very special and you need the best service, the best food, the best plan, that's Seawells, 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. All right, South Carolina first home game. Here are players who've indicated they will be there. Tight end Caden Ramsey, receiver Stone Furry, 26 class, 27 class. Running back David Segara, birthday boy today. Defensive end Josiah Fields, quarterback Trent Seaborn, receiver Christian Jackson. Offensive tackle Joshua Sam Appel. Cornerback Kenyon White. Offensive lineman Nate Carson. Defensive end Jaden Bryant. Linebacker Jalathan Mayfield. Defensive tackle Seth Tillman. Defensive tackle Ronald Moore. Defensive tackle Tony Clark in the 28 class. And defensive tackle Terrence Brandon in the 28 class. North Augusta offensive lineman Malcolm Gaston committed to Liberty. 2027 receiver Jaden Kelly Murray of Summerville offered by Cincinnati. South Carolina Clemson target 27 defensive tackle Carlos May of Birmingham was offered by Ohio State. He goes to Auburn this weekend. 27 defensive end KJ Green, a USC target, Stone Mountain, Georgia, going to Nebraska this weekend. USC Clemson target 27 tight end Jackson Dollar of Denver, North Carolina, will visit LSU this weekend. South Carolina target cornerback James Buffet will be at Florida on Saturday. 28 quarterback Grayson Clary, formerly of Daniel, now of Raven Gap, Georgia, will visit Ohio State on Saturday. He was at Clemson last Saturday. 28 receiver Trey Wembley of Daniel was offered by Liberty. That'll do it. Recruiting tonight right here on Sports Talk. Okay, to the break. After the break, time to talk some NASCAR. It's weekend number 2 of the playoffs. After the opening of the playoffs last weekend at Darlington, dominating performance by Chase Briscoe. Can he keep it going? Does he need to keep it going? Is somebody else going to rise up and qualify for the second round of the playoffs with a win this weekend? We'll talk with Jeff Owens in the Fast Lane after the break.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's Corbett. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Every lottery ticket purchase keeps education in our state moving forward. In fact, the lottery has raised more than $200 million for state school buses to get our students to school safely every day. Then, the lottery helps those students go even further in their education by funding the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. So remember, when you play the lottery, you're keeping South Carolina students on the road to success. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
When South Carolina's best high school football players take the field at the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl, they're backed by a powerful team of their own. As proud title sponsors, your local co-ops celebrate more than just a game. It's a tradition where talent shines, where teamwork matters, and where community spirit takes center stage. Don't miss the 78th Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl, December 13th at Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium in Myrtle Beach, powered by your electric cooperative.
Hi, Phil Kornblut here with our good friend George Bryan III, heard every Friday night on Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps right here on Sports Talk. George, the Tsunami Bar, a very valuable tool for golfers. Why is that?
Well, the first thing that I say is the tempo. It's the only tool out there that allows the study of tension right from the first grab to be expressed, and rhythm and tempo is what makes the bar work, and it gives you something awfully special to keep those hands soft and get that rhythm going.
Learn more about Tsunami Bar technology by clicking on the digital ad on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and save 5% by purchasing online using the promo code BBB5.
Love it when it's forward, love it when it's fast, love it when the leader's caught, the pack is moving past, love it when they're making lots and lots of noise, can't wait to hear these doubles say. Boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys! Let's go racing, boys. Love it when they're drafting, love it when they slide, love it when the back's straight, the throttle's open wide, love it when they're making lots and lots of noise, can't wait to hear these doubles say.
Boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys!
Racing, boys.
Da-dum, da-da-da-dum.
Let's go racing, boys.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Let's go racing, boys.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay. We're going to be analyzing the wait a minute. We're going to be analyzing the Enjoy Illinois 300, which is the second race of the playoffs in Madison, Illinois, coming up this weekend. Let's welcome in Jeff Owens as he analyzes what went on this past Sunday at Darlington. Not a whole lot to analyze, not a whole lot to break down. The end was pretty exciting, but for the most part, it was a snooze fest. When a team gets dialed in at Darlington, it can be difficult for the rest of the field, can it not?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what happened, Phil. Chase Briscoe and Joe Gibbs Racing, they got that car hooked up, and he was absolutely dominant. Probably the most dominant performance I've seen in Darlington since probably Martin Truex Jr. in that same car. It kind of reminded me of that a little bit. But, yeah, he was locked in. He has clearly figured out Darlington, winning 2 Southern 500s in a row. And that was a big statement win for him, I think. Coming into the playoffs, he's a guy who, sort of earned his spot. He won a race. He's been solid all year long. And then he goes out and I think makes a statement with that win. I think he's now entered the conversation of guys that you have to think can get to that Final Four and race for a championship.
Yeah, I tell you what, you've covered Darlington for a long, long time, and you've seen a lot of very strong performances. When a team is, as you put it, locked in at Darlington, or when they've got everything just right, what is it that they have just right with their car? What makes a car like that on that track so good?
Well, I just think it's got to have a lot of flexibility in it, and you got to be, and this is what I saw from Chase and Tyler Reddick, you got to be able to, your car has got to be able to handle high and low, and that's very difficult to accomplish at Darlington because the turns are so drastically different. I mean, you've heard them talk about for years, you can get the car to work in 1 and 2, but it might not work in 3 and 4 because the turns are so different. To be able to get a car balanced to where it'll handle in both turns like that, and you can go high and low, I think is what you got to do. So a lot of that, it's a lot of focus on the driver, but more than that, it's really on the crew chief and the engineers to get that car set up just right to be able to do that. And we saw, Briscoe could do that. Tyler Reddick could do it. Those were the two guys we saw moving high, low, in different areas of the track. And that allows you to maneuver as your tires wear out and stay on top of it. And that's what they did really well.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, this, I think, is a two-part question for you. I wanted to focus in on the much cooler weather than we normally see at Darlington for Labor Day, and is that part of the reason that the majority of the playoff field was so bad? I mean, I can't remember a playoff race, especially early in the playoffs, where you had 10 of the 16 playoff drivers not finish in the top 15 anywhere, much less at Darlington.
Yeah, I think, a lot of them had trouble. They made mistakes. Stuff happens, but yeah. I mean, that's what Darlington's all about. I mean, it's just really difficult. It's challenging without, factoring the weather and changes in the track and all of that into it. But it's just such a challenge to keep up with the track and then not make mistakes. I mean, to have a perfect race at Darlington is almost impossible. And you just saw a lot of playoff contenders either struggle with the track, the changing track, or have trouble on pit road, get into the wall, something happens, and you're right. This was a terrible start for a lot of guys. The one saving grace for them is, you had 10 guys have trouble, but the flip side of that is 10 of them had trouble. So really, they're all in the same boat. You got a handful that survived and did well, but you got a lot of guys struggling, and they got to play catch up over these next two races.
Jeff, I know I'm getting older in following NASCAR, but it just seems like this has sped up my aging process considerably. I just saw a note today that Chase Elliott is set to make his 350th start for Hendrick Motorsports. How is that even possible? And secondly, do you believe that's probably where he's going to end his career?
Well, you think that makes you feel old. I knew Chase when he was 2 years old, playing Matchbox cars in the back of his daddy's hauler at the racetrack, sitting in the floor playing with his little cars. That's hard to believe. It's hard to believe he's in the sport for me. But you're right, 350 starts, that's astonishing. I still think of him being a young driver, but he's not anymore. I think he'll probably stay at Hendrick. They've got to pick up their performance, though, and I don't know what's wrong there. They just haven't performed the last couple of years like expected. I don't think he have no reason to believe he's on the hot seat, and I think Hendrick probably wants to keep him there as long as they can, probably for the rest of his career. But they've definitely got to figure things out, though, because they're not running the way they should be.
Real quick, SVG is right now inside the cut as far as the playoffs are concerned after the first race. So he's number 12. He's just above. So, I mean, if he can somehow survive the next two races, you're looking at a guy who's going to be in good shape to make it into that, third round, right, with the road course coming up?
Yeah, if he can survive these next two races and finish in that top 12, and that's going to be a big challenge with Bristol, then he's got a shot to win that road course race in round 3 and get on to the round of 8. It's there for him. That's going to be an interesting story to watch next couple of weeks. Can he stay above that cut line?
Okay, Jeff, great stuff as always. We thank you. Have a great weekend. Talk to you next week.
Appreciate it,
All right,
Jeff.
guys, have a good one.
Jeff Owens in the fast lane. George Bryan coming up.
On Point weather on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Tonight we'll wrap the work week up with a nice evening. The low drops to 69. Tomorrow, look for a blend of sunshine and clouds to go the warm high of 92, a 20% chance of an afternoon downpour. On Sunday, it's a bit cooler. The high is 87. We have a 30% chance of some storms. And it's cooler next week to start, with highs in the low 80s. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
How does a car repair shop last in business for over 50 years like Suddeth Automotive? By providing affordable, reliable, and honest auto repair. But if you ask them, they'll tell you it's their loyal customers who come back time and time again to entrust them with their car repairs, well-trained technicians, service packages, and monthly specials. Isn't it time you become a customer? Call or come by at 1410 North Millwood Avenue or make an appointment at SudethAuto.com.
Terry P. With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Congress is expected to allow President Trump's temporary takeover of Washington's police department to expire next week as the 30-day limit comes to an end. Trump took control of the Metropolitan Police Department in August for 30 days, in addition to deploying hundreds of National Guard troops, saying he was going to take our capital back from criminals. Congress would have to approve an extension. President Trump has signed an executive order to rebrand the Department of Defense as the Department of War. He criticized the previous name as woke and said the new name is more appropriate. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, now referred to as the Secretary of War, emphasized a shift to maximum lethality. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 220 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Nobody plans for a plumbing problem. They come unannounced and usually at a very inconvenient time. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is your trusted ally. They recognize just how vulnerable a customer is at this time, and they want to help. They have well-trained plumbers who are there to make a difference when you need it most. I've experienced this. They're knowledgeable about their craft. They're not coming to your house to pitch new products. If something is broken, they'll give you a price to fix it if it's possible, or a price to replace it if necessary. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is also locally owned and operated, or I simply wouldn't endorse them. Josh and his team prioritize customer service above everything else. They handle every issue with care and precision. Those are not just words. I've had Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning out to my home. They back up those words with their actions. If you have a crisis, get some peace of mind. Online, you find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com, or you call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. I'm absolutely positive they will make whatever is wrong right again. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning.
Real estate agents, you know what they're all about, right? Buying and selling. Not at the Palmetto Real Estate Group of SC. Sure, we can help you buy or sell a home, business, or investment property, but we also offer property management, rehab services, commercial brokerage, and more. So if you're looking for more than a standard agent, we'd love to chat with you. Feel free to peruse all our services at palmettoreg.com.
It's painting season in the Midlands, and Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovation sets the tone for inspired living. Watch your home change from ordinary to outstanding with colors that liven every wall and craftsmanship you can trust. Michael and his team are fully licensed, bonded, and insured. They care for every detail inside and out of your home. Let's give your home the style and care it deserves. Call 922-5615. Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovations, where every project reflects pride.
Hey y'all, it's Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We're introducing the Wing and a Prayer Wednesday special. You purchase an order of wings and a drink and get a free gift card for the arcade. We have some of the most mouth-watering jumbo wings like flamethrower hot wings, barbecue wings, teriyaki wings, honey mustard wings, terry hot wings. You can get a half dozen for $9.95 or a dozen for $18.95. Served with celery and choice of dressing. So come join us at Flight Deck Restaurant to enjoy some great jumbo wings and lots of fun in our new and improved arcade. And we at Flight Deck Restaurant thank y'all, and God bless.
We're taking the afternoon drive back on the road to Lexington. Thursday the 11th from 4 to 6 p.m. We'll be live from the Village at South Lake. It's an absolutely beautiful independent living community rated the best in Lexington. It's a great day for you to stop by and see us. We'll have refreshments for you, swag to give away. If you're thinking about independent living, this is the time to come visit. 4 to 6 Thursday the 11th at the Village at South Lake, 123 Gibson Road in Lexington. Hope to see you there.
Straight down the middle, it went straight down the middle. Then it started to hook just a wee, wee bit. And that's when my caddy lost sight of it. That little white pellet has never been found to this day. But it went straight down the middle, like they say.
My favorite time of the week. We've talked ourselves silly about football. We've analyzed. We've overanalyzed. We've overreacted. We've picked games. We've given bad advice. Now it's time to talk about something that we're good at, and that is
You can really give bad advice on.
talking about golf. Not necessarily playing the game, but talking about the game. Our game on the radio, as George likes to say, is a heck of a lot better than it is on any golf course in America. We welcome in once again to Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps, our Hall of Famer, George Bryan III, with a special guest tonight, a true Hall of Famer, former Clemson golf coach Larry Penley. Let's welcome George on board. He'll tee it up, and then we'll call Coach Penley to the first tee tonight here on Sports Talk. George, welcome in.
Oh, what a privilege, and I got to tell you, there ain't no former. You always coach. That's just how it is. It's kind of like, and you can't get away from that. And we can't be wasting time when we have somebody like Coach Penley on. So let's don't waste any time. This is probably the fastest player that I've seen this side of the Mississippi, or both sides. And he don't like wasting time. And this is the highlight of the week. And we love talking that golf. And the more we talk, the better we get on this radio. We are radio Hall of Famers in our own minds. We grow as the show goes on, too. Hey, come on to the tee, Coach. Welcome to Birdies and Bogeys.
It's my pleasure, George. I appreciate y'all having me.
Oh, man. Hey, way to go, Phil. Way to go, Josh, for getting this guy on the line. And I tell you, I hadn't seen or talked to you in a while. But then I do almost every day. Even yesterday, ran into one of your players, and maybe more than one. I know Carson Young, saw him at Salina yesterday. And, you know, when you've been around the length of time you have and invested in so many young folks, so many families, Coach, it is truly a privilege to have you on. And,
well,
man,
I can't thank you enough for all that. If you'd have thought that much of me, you should have let your two boys come play for me.
Hey, the biggest, Coach, the biggest surprise. No, I gotta tell you, I don't. Hey, this game when you get to be 18, the way I came along, you 18, you grown, and it was the biggest surprise that I've ever gotten about golf. Is Wesley Bryan saying he wasn't playing for you. That boy was orange, purple, and I'm talking all the way, and it was just a switch. And I do think hormones, he went through that puberty stage. How many of these youngins get different in puberty? Well, that happened.
Well, it does. Oh, it definitely does. It definitely does. But you raised two great golfers, and I know you're proud of them. I'm proud of them. South Carolina's proud of them. And, man, I just think back on all the tournaments we'd have won if they'd have been carrying that orange bag. But you know what? It is what it is.
hey, you know, one of the things that's still a lot of fun, like I see it was Wesley and Carson yesterday playing golf together. And, you know, you go out and you play for marbles here and there, and I'm telling you, nothing like, it doesn't matter who wins or loses, nothing like the chatter and the excitement that goes on just talking that golf. But it's funny to me that Wesley's best buddies right now are Clemson. Ben Martin, Carson Young. Well, he's got several of them all tied for first.
Well, I love you saying that because, I mean, people ask me all the time, they go, you know, you look at the Clemson-South Carolina rivalry. In golf, I mean, we're trying to beat each other's brains out, but, you know, Steve Liebler and I are still best friends to this day. And he was a year ahead of me in school, but he played at South Carolina. I was at Clemson, and we're still best buddies. And our players growing up, you know, whether they went to South Carolina or Clemson, there was no doubt that they were going to continue to be good friends. And we pulled for each other. I mean, we honestly pull for each other. You know, we're battling Georgias and Georgia Techs and Oklahoma States, and man, we wanted our state to do well, and most of our players were in state, and it was always fun to watch us win or watch you win because we knew we were all getting better if that happened. And man, I miss that. I mean, I really miss that.
Well, I'm right in the middle of it. I get to see it day to day, and one of the things I got to bring up, I'm pretty sure that this still is one of the only golf you have, maybe one of the only golf teams that won a Division I national championship playing with all in-state players. I haven't done a lot of research on that recently, but at the time, you won a national championship with all South Carolina homegrown players.
Well, we did in 2003 for sure. I had one kid that grew up in New Jersey, and when he was a junior in high school, he moved to Hilton Head and played his last year with SCJGA Golf. So we countered him, and he was one of 10 that really didn't grow up in the state, but he was still a member of the SCJGA, and that, you know, I take more pride, literally, in the fact that we won with all 10 guys from the state of South Carolina than I do anything that we've ever done, because it just showed the job that the SCJGA did. You know, Hap and Chris Miller, my goodness. I mean, they started growing it, and, you know, we had Golf Digest at that time recognize the SCJGA as probably the greatest junior golf program in America. And I always told Biff, I said, listen, y'all have got the greatest farm system for college golf in the country. Don't mess it up. And Georgia's taken our lead. North Carolina has taken our lead. North Carolina has caught up. You know, right now, the state of North Carolina, just because of what South Carolina has done, has really grown their junior golf program, and you're starting to see a lot of great talent come out of North Carolina. But I'm gonna attribute that to what we did in South Carolina.
Well, I got to tell you, there's a lot of enthusiasm. You mentioned a couple of names, Lathrop, Chris Miller. There's a Roundtree. I remember it in San Francisco. I'll go one short story. And then I'll tell mine. Actually, two short ones, and then I need to hear one of yours related to, you know, around golf. But so where I got a chance the first time to talk golf with you at length would have been 2003 or 4 at the U.S. Junior. I think Brian Harmon won that one at the Olympic Club, where you were out walking around. There was a practice round. A young fella named Kyle that I think he ended up playing a couple years for you. But I got to talk some golf with you then. Kyle Stanley ends up sending me a 2-page handwritten note because I sent him a video of his golf swing back then. Yeah. And he ends up going to South Carolina, to Clemson, and he should have gone to South Carolina. That's another story. But one of the things that happened is this young fellow was a sophomore in high school at the time, hadn't started his junior year, and he writes me a 2-page handwritten note. That thing came in the next day. Sent it like special whatever to get there the next day. And anyway, you reared up fine young men in addition to great players, and that's not all that easy to do. Even now it's really pretty difficult. The second story I'll talk about is in Bermuda this past November. Absolutely was in charge of Wesley's clubs after the round, and Coach, you know how it is. He and Lucas played in the last group. Both of them just did not do well, and it was not a good day. They went from last group to maybe barely inside the top 20, and so Daddy-O here, Wesley, you know how it is when they get in a hurry to leave. Well, he he made a mistake and gave his daddy the golf club. So, well, his daddy threw him in the car that I thought that we were all riding in, but it wasn't. So I have lost my boys' golf clubs, and they're trying to go get on a plane, and I didn't tell anybody. This is quite the fiasco in my heart. And I'm looking around, going, that taxi just took off. That's not where any of my family is, and that thing's got my son's golf clubs. And Lucas Glover sits there and goes, "You all right?" And I said, "I'm not. You see that taxi that's leaving?" He goes, "Yeah. You just put your clubs in there." I said, "No, they weren't mine. They were my son's." He looked at me and goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Well," he said, "your son's in that taxi over there." I said, "Yeah, that's a problem, isn't it?" He goes, "That ain't good." So anyway, he makes a phone call, and we end up getting the clubs back about an hour and a half later. And I thought Wesley didn't find out, but he did. You can't fire I wasn't a caddy to start with. The tournament's over, and it's hard to fire your daddy. But Lucas, after that rough round, he helped me out like I was a 4-year-old had lost my pacifier.
Well, that turned out to be a happy ending, and that is a great thing. When you're talking about Kyle Stanley, I mean, that's kind of a funny story. I mean, I am recruiting Brian Harmon, and Georgia has told me the entire time. Of course, I hate Georgia. I'd soon beat Georgia as I had beat Russia. You know, I mean, we talk about rivals. That's my rival. I have sleepless nights about Chris Hack and their golf team beating us. I never could stand it, never understood it. So I am recruiting Brian Harmon, and I got Georgia telling me, you know, his grandfather played football for Wally Butts and at Georgia. And I said, yeah, I get all that, but Georgia's Georgia. He's going to come to Clemson. And they go, no, he's not. No, he's not. Well, I have followed this child all over the country for 2 years, and I didn't get him. And he ended up going to Georgia. But who I did get was this tall, skinny kid from Gig Harbor, Washington, that whipped his butt every time they played, and that was Kyle Stanley. I also got this little old blonde-headed kid from Auburn, New York, who ended up winning an ACC title, and that was David May, who also whipped Harmon's butt. So, although I did recruit Brian extremely hard, and we're good friends today, and he's really good friends with my players, I did get 2 great players out of that. Now, that is my only consolation to that deal. Now, you talking about Kyle sending a letter. Kyle could not make it this past weekend to Clemson. We had a we had a big Tiger Golf gathering, which is our big fundraiser. And then we had the Ring of Honor deal on Saturday. So I'm tied up all day Thursday, all day Friday with Tiger Golf Gathering. Kyle can't make it. But I got the nicest note from this child. And listen, that means more than anything. I mean, as you know, to get a congratulatory note or letter, I mean, it just, you know, it just justifies all the hard work you put in. And he was one of my favorites. I mean, seriously, I'm lucky I had him for 3 years. If I can't think of the kid's name from Southern Cal, we're at the Golden Horseshoe in Virginia. And the big, tall, 6'4" kid from Southern Cal shoots 64-65 in the NCAA championship.
Was that Love
Yes.
I was there. I remember that. Dustin Johnson was at that event too.
Yes. Yes. They Coastal had a great week. I think they finished maybe 3rd.
Yeah,
but if Love Mark doesn't shoot that, Kyle wins the golf tournament. And that was his freshman year. And I would have lost him after 1 year because he would have turned pro. But I was lucky enough to have him for 3 years, and he's still a very important part of our golf program. And he's now got 2 children. He doesn't play as much as he should. I'm still on his butt about trying to get back out there and get it done. I mean, he's got past champion status, which is not much, but shoot, it's enough. It's enough to get you in some tournaments. But no, I love that boy, no doubt.
Let me,
so
George, can I tee it up real quick?
No, you can't. I'm on a roll. I'm just kidding. Absolutely.
When George takes over the radio show, Coach, you got to move quickly. But if I don't get this in, we're not going to get it in. Well, first of all, obviously, congratulations to you for going into the Clemson Ring of Honor last Saturday night at the football game. That was a beautiful thing to see you and your family on the field, and 81,000 people cheer you as your name was introduced along with Michael Dean Perry going into the Hall of Fame. I wanted to see you line up against Michael Dean and try and block him, but I don't think you got the chance. So congratulations on that. What was that moment like for you?
Well, we had a great night Friday night. Michael Dean brought 20. His family was 20, and I had 12. And we met at Pixie and Bill's, which is a really great spot in Clemson, and we had a separate room, and they brought the fridge in a wheelchair. And Michael Dean is on the fridge the entire time we're there, and Fridge had done heard about all he could hear, and he looked up at Michael Dean one time. He said, "It won't be nothing for me to get out of this wheelchair and whip your ass." And I'm telling you, I almost lost it. I mean, it was so funny. And it kind of calmed Michael Dean down. But we had 2 hours of pure entertainment from the Perry family. Now, the ball game was incredible, and I'd already pressed all my 6 grandchildren, and my 3 grandsons from my youngest daughter, which are 10, 7, and 4. I said, "Look, we're going to walk out here. Now, there's a lot of people. It's going to be loud." I said, "I want you to start waving as soon as we get out on the field." Well, we don't get past the goalpost, and I've got a 4-year-old that should be playing offensive tackle for Clemson right now. He starts waving, and he walked out there like he owned the place. And I'm telling you, I died, and we are still laughing about that. It would have been a perfect weekend if we'd have won the ball game, but we didn't.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but it was great. And, it really was a fun time.
What a great moment. And also, I want to mention, connected to you, I believe, it was announced this week, the end of this week, that Michael Carlisle is going to be inducted into the South Carolina Golf Hall of Fame. He's one of your guys from Clemson, right?
Well, he was a year ahead of me.
Okay.
And a teammate for 3 years. And we wouldn't have made it to the NCAA finals that year without him. And in 1980, our only year of making the NCAAs, or our first year making it, we ended up finishing 11th. But it was all, Michael played so good late in the year. But, he also wins the Carolina's Am. He also wins the South Carolina Mid-Am. He won 3 Palmetto Ams. And not to mention that he won in 2004, 2005, and 2006 at USC Aiken. He won the Division II National Championship. So, and he's done more for South Carolina junior golf, other than Charlie Roundtree, probably than anybody I know. And I am so happy for him. We're really looking forward in January in Columbia to celebrating Mike going into the Hall of Fame.
George, I'll put out, and you can hit your approach.
Oh, you bring it on anytime. I appreciate you. I appreciate you bringing up Michael Carlisle. This is a true story. In 1987, and he and I we beat it around on the mini tours for a couple of summers, and he absolutely, it was amazing that he did not get on the tour. He's so good.
He was.
And he kind of somehow he got in his own way and didn't get it done. But this is true, and it's hard to believe. And in mini tour golf in those days, there's just no money. And we finally, he gets on a heater run and go to Nashville, something like that, then go to Louisville, and he's top 5. Then he wins in Louisville. He beat Jody Mudd and Gibby Gilbert in a playoff for the Jeff Elks Open. And maybe he tied. Maybe it went into dark. That's what happened. He tied for first. But he He wins about 10 grand. He's on a heater run. Probably had 15,000. In those days, that's a lot of cash. And we were supposed to room at the tour qualifying in Chattanooga. So I was happy I got a free place to stay. And Carlisle doesn't show up. I call him back then, the old answer machines. I said, Michael, it's Wednesday night. You're not here. And, I'm leaving that message. And he picks up. He goes, oh, and I'm not coming there. You can hang it up. I'm all done. I went, what? You sitting on 15,000 and you're playing great. You're not going to the tour qualifying? He said, yep, that's I'm getting my amateur status. I'm all done with that pro golf. I'm going to ride off into the sunset like this. I can't be happier for you, George. Good luck, but I'm all done. And I'd never seen one shut it down that way at that point. But that's a true story. He quit on top in pro golf, got his amateur status back.
Well, I think you had that job at USC Aiken kind of lined up, and that might have, and that kind of might have done it. But he did such a good job down there, and he still is a great player. I played with him not too long ago, and it's just fun to watch him hit the golf ball.
So we're in Germany a couple of weeks ago, and we talk about people first. One of his players, George and Wesley, got a chance to play in a DP World event together, and one of his players, BRT, Brandon Thompson. And it comes out to watch G4 tee off. They're buddies. George lives in Aiken. And he was a couple hours away from playing, just came out to support him watching George tee off. And he's a great coach, but he's a great person, and he raises up good, fine people first. And
yes, he does. Yes, he does.
So, Coach, another one that keep going now. Was you had something to comment on?
No. I was just going to say we are very honored to be putting Michael into the South Carolina Golf Hall of Fame for sure.
Amen. And then another young man that I watched grow up, Jonathan Bird, and both Bird obviously got one that's trying to fill your shoes, which is impossible to do. But Jay Bird, he's one of Wesley's mentors. Never met a finer human being and a gentleman, but talking about always others first. I don't think like I said, hadn't met a finer man. If there's one tied with him, it would obviously be Ben Martin from Greenwood.
Yeah, they're both fantastic, and they were both in town this past weekend, and they were both there at the Tiger Golf Gather. And the work that Jonathan's done and continues to do is incredible. And I know Jordan, Coach Bird, is now hanging his hat on Jonathan's boy, his nephew, Jackson. And, sometimes it doesn't take but one great player to kind of turn the tide and turn the attitude and turn the mojo around. And Jackson is a fantastic player. I think was ranked as high as number 2 in the country in his class. And watching what they do, watching their family and how close they continue to be and how much they support each other, man, I am looking forward to watching Jackson play for the next.
Hopefully. We have got to run. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.
This hour from Town Hall, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. U.S. immigration officials say some 475 people were detained during an immigration raid at a sprawling Georgia site where South Korean auto company Hyundai manufactures electric vehicles.
Homeland Security Investigation Special Agent in charge, Stephen Schrank, said that the majority of the people detained were from South Korea.
This operation underscores our commitment to protecting jobs for Georgians and Americans, ensuring a level playing field for businesses that comply with the law.
He said the detained workers were part of a network of subcontractors and that the employees worked for a variety of different companies on the site. Hyundai Motor Group is South Korea's biggest automaker and began making electric vehicles a year ago at the $7.6 billion plant. It employs about 1,200 people. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Senate Republicans are formulating a plan to confirm a bunch of President Trump's nominees in batches over the next few weeks. They're trying to avoid the historic nomination blockade set up by Democrats. Senate Majority Leader John Thune explains the strategy.
We've kind of shopped these ideas around about how to do this in a way that actually helps us clear the backlog and creates a way for us to confirm the rest of Trump's administration, President Trump's administration.
Senator Thune made his comments on the Salem radio network. 2 teenagers have been arrested on murder charges in the killing of a congressional intern who was struck by